Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota Lynchburg. Today I'm going to do a video on how to drive or how to operate a compact tractor. We're going to go through the three main transmission types. We're going to go through the hydrostatic transmission, the standard gear drive transmission, and I'll even show you how a shuttle shift transmission works because some compact tractors, older or different brands, will actually have that shuttle shift style transmission. So this is mainly useful if this is your first time operating a tractor, you're renting one, you're borrowing a buddy's or something like that, and you need to kind of get a real quick lowdown on how to run it and operate it. I'm not going to be going over specs or features other than basically the running and what to look for when you're operating a tractor. So I'm going to show you real quick the three different types and how to identify them, because the first thing you're going to want to do is identify which style tractor you have. So this one here is a hydrostatic transmission. You can tell because it will have a forward and reverse pedal here, or it'll have pedals side by side right there for forward and reverse. A hydrostatic is going to be like a lawnmower where there's no shifting or clutching when you're driving. You literally have a forward and reverse pedal on it. There'll be different sizes and everything, but that's your hydrostatic transmission. If we go and look at a gear drive transmission tractor, you are going to have a shifter knob somewhere on it. In our L series and stuff, the shifter knob is going to be in the center. You usually have a 1, 2, 3 or a 1, 2, 3, 4, or even all the way through an 8-speed. Like this one will have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are your gears. Those are your ranges. And that could be sitting here, or it could be off to the side for a gear drive tractor. Now notice on the steering column of a gear drive, there's nothing here on this. If we go to a shuttle shift transmission tractor, what this means, and there's a couple different styles, but what this means is your forward and reverse mechanism is this right here on the steering column. You push up for forward and you push back for reverse. That's called a shuttle shift transmission, which makes it very easy to adapt between forward and reverse, either while you're slowly rolling or you're at a stop, rather than using other different handles for it. So we're going to first start with the easiest tractor to drive and operate, which will be the hydrostatic tractor. So we're going to start with your display, with the dash panel on a tractor. In front of me, this is an L series, and your main thing usually on a display of a tractor is going to be this right here, which is your tachometer. This is going to show you your RPMs. You can see on this one, the yellow PTO 540, that is where you would want to run rear implements, like bush hogs or tillers or a post hole digger. You would throttle the tractor up until it sits steady right around that yellow. A lot of tractors will then have, a temperature gauge here. So if you're overheating, you need to clean out your radiator screens or check your coolant levels, and usually a fuel gauge as well. Now there will be other lights and buttons. For example, the parking brake shows that it's on. It shows that, you've got the battery there. If it's running through a regeneration process, that'll show. You can turn your turn signals on and off, all these extras that you can do. And you also have your throttle control right here. Some tractors will have a crank style, some will have a push up and down, but that is your throttle control on these tractors. Next, what we're going to go into is your actual pedal layout. And again, depending on brand and everything, this will vary. On the Kubota Hydrostats, there's usually a rocker pedal. You can see it's got arrows on it. It'll be forward and reverse. Very simple. You're going to put it into a range, which is over here, where you have a low, medium, and high range. Low for loader work, medium for mowing, and high for highway. If you have to go fast from one side of the property, great. If you're pulling a very heavy log or something like that, or very heavy load of dirt or gravel, put it in low. So you're just going to basically pull that into the correct range, take off your parking brake, which these are your brake pedals on this side. So each one has a different style parking brake. This one, if I push down with my foot and pull up here and lock it in, that's my parking brake locked in. Once I take my parking brake off, then you have your forward and reverse pedal right there. If it was a John Deere or some other brands, they will have a forward and reverse pedal. This whole section here wouldn't exist. It would just be section right there where you're going to have a reverse and a forward pedal to it. So that's your hydrostat. You put it in whichever range you want it to go into, take off your parking brake, and drive. Pretty simple. Some other controls on these loaders will be your front loader control, which is going to be right here. Switch hands on the camera here. So this is going to control your loader. That's what this is for. It's going to control your loader arms, moving it and adjusting it. And again, this could be up forward in front of you, or it could be off to the side around here on some of the smaller compact tractors. If you want to turn on your implement for the rear, your rear PTO implement, you usually will have a yellow lever or a yellow button. And it oftentimes will have this kind of gear system to it, and it'll tell you what to do to turn it on or off. So for this one, you push down and turn and it'll be on. Push it again, it turns off. Some of these, like the gear drive I'll show you in a little bit, will actually have a lever that you pull to engage and disengage. If it has a button style, you do not need to clutch in, because it's a hydrostat, you do not need to clutch in to engage it. But if it is a mechanical lever style, you will need to clutch, then engage it, and then slowly release off your clutch pedal. And we'll get into that on the next tractor. But again, very simple. Got your throttle control there, your loader controls, your hydrostat forward and reverse, and your brake pedals. Now you can lock and unlock these brake pedals as well. So if I pull that here, now I can do left brakes or right brakes, and you could brake steer with this. So you can lock just the right tire, you can turn really sharp, and you can turn in a much tighter radius because that one tire is locked in position. Just be careful though, the ground underneath that tire that is locked is going to be ripped to shreds, so don't do it on nice maintained grass. Lock them back together, and when you hit it, both tires lock it the same. I'm now sitting on a gear drive tractor. It honestly looks very similar because it's still another L series. Same loader control, same kind of layout there, but your pedals are going to be different. Now your brake pedals, which again could vary on tractor, are going to be on this side, on my right hand side, whereas my clutch, kind of like a car, is all the way to the left. Tractors will sometimes have single stage or two stage clutches, but either way, when you let out the clutch all the way, that is usually if you're in gear when you're moving. You can see right here though, it is going to have your neutral, which is going to be in the center, and it'll wiggle freely back and forth, or if you put it into gear, let's see which one, so fourth gear there, it'll kind of lock in. So that's going to be your ranges. Of course, the higher you go, the faster the tractor's going to go. Your throttle on this one, you can actually tell it's a little bit different style here. If you push down on this throttle, that's your main throttle control. And off to the side where there was a high, low, and medium, there's now a high and low range and a reverse range. Because now you don't have a back reverse pedal, your reverse is going to be clutching in, switching to reverse, letting off your parking brake, and let off the clutch and as you go. Or if you want to go into low range to creep forward with the tiller, you can put it in low, you would then put it in first gear, let off the clutch, and you would be creeping forward. And you have a neutral, which almost all tractors are required to be in neutral to start. A hydrostat is an exception, but on gear drives and shuttle shifts, you do have to be in neutral to start the tractor. First thing you do if the tractor will not start is check to make sure you're in neutral. And check to make sure you're neutral in the center stick as well. Some of the older tractors, you have to be in both areas. Now, the PTO engagement on this tractor is another yellow lever, but it's not a button this time. It's going to be right here where you can see if you pull up, it engages on it, and you push down, it is not running. So what you do is you clutch in, always clutch before engaging your PTO. You'll pull up on the lever until it's engaged, and you slowly release off your clutch. Now, if you're in neutral, it'll engage your implement on the rear, like a tiller or bush hog. But if you are in high or low range, it'll engage a bush hog as well as keep you going forward. So you're going to start moving, and your implement is going to start going. The reason we clutch to engage the PTO is so you don't jerk the implement real hard. If I had the clutch out and driving and I just yanked up on this, you would instantly engage your implement at that speed, at that range, and you could shear a shear pin or break something. So clutch in, engage your PTO, and then declutch. Now, one of the second most common issues is people will all of a sudden have to stop their tractor and the PTO is still engaged. So this is still engaged. If you go to start your tractor up again, it will not start with that PTO lever or that PTO button engaged. So make sure that is disengaged. So again, that's your gear drive version. That shifter knob might be off to your side over here. It could be off to your side over here, but this is usually where your ranges are. If you have a bigger tractor, you might even have it up on the dashboard or somewhere like that. Alright, and the last one I'm going to show you guys today is a shuttle shift transmission. Again, a very similar dash. You're going to have your RPMs, your fuel gauges, your temperature gauges. This one will have more information in the middle, an actual digital display. But the biggest difference you're going to see is where your throttle control isn't over here. There's no throttle lever there. And what this lever is. This lever is going to have a forward, neutral, and reverse. So when you push your clutch in and you put it into, let's say, second gear, and you let off the clutch, nothing's going to happen because right now I'm in neutral. So what you need to do is you need to pull up on it, pull back to go reverse, and then let off your clutch, or push forward to go forward with it and let off your clutch and go. And of course, always disengage your parking brakes before ever going. And now I'm rolling a little bit. So I'm going to re-engage that parking brake. There we go. Now over here on these bigger farm grades, this is a 60 horsepower tractor, you will have a throttle control off to the side. It makes it a little bit easier to access if you're sitting back. And you will have your high and low range. Kind of like that last L series we looked at, you will have a high and low. Now there's no reverse portion to it because, remember, your reverse, forward, and back is right here. The other thing I wanted to show on you this one is, again, you have an electronic PTO the bigger you go. It's not a manual lever, which makes it very nice to engage and disengage on this tractor. Now, two last operation pedals. One is going to be this, which is an accessory throttle pedal. It actually kind of ties in with this pedal right here. So if you're on the go, let's say you're in second gear going forward, and you want a little bit more throttle, you can literally sit here and just tap that throttle and go higher and give the tractor a little bit more power. And the other button I want to explain, and again, it's different on every tractor, but usually it's right below your seat area, is going to be a four-wheel drive. So it's usually a lever you pull or push. This one's a pull handle. If I pulled up on it, I go into four-wheel drive. If I push down, I'm in two-wheel drive. It's the same location on most of our other tractors. Sometimes on the more fancy tractors, there'll be an electronic button to it. But if you ever see one where this arrow is spinning going forward, that means you're engaging your four-wheel drive system on it. So that's about it for the shuttle shift. As always, make sure you've got that forward and reverse shuttle shift right there. So that's your basics for your tractor, compact tractor driving. Always start off in a low range as you're learning to drive a tractor. Take it slow, take it easy. It's honestly, once you use it for a couple minutes, it is very intuitive, very easy to use. Obviously, the Hydrostatic is the easiest, but start off in a low range, start off working very slow. Take an image of your tractor setup before you start driving it, before you even turn it on, so you remember which buttons, which pedals do which things. So be careful driving the tractors. If you're a first-time tractor driver, be confident that even if you do something wrong, honestly, if you're in an open area, if you've got room, there's not much you can mess up. You're not going to hurt your tractor too bad as you're learning. But take it slow, take it easy, and be safe.